This wasn't a battlefield thunderclap, it was a whisper in the dark that everyone heard anyway. Men with rifles and a promise that history was about to bend, and within hours, the entire plan collapsed like wet cardboard. What happened in Venezuela wasn't just a failed raid. It was a modern cautionary tale about special operations, hubris, and how the rules of covert warfare have changed since World War II. This is the story of a special operation that aimed high, moved fast, and fell apart even faster. By the late 2010s, Venezuela was in deep crisis. The economy was in free fall, power shortages were routine, food and fuel were scarce, the government was isolated internationally, while the opposition claimed legitimacy and backing from abroad. On paper, this looked like the kind of instability that special operations planners dream about: a divided country, frustrated citizens, cracks in the system. To some outside players, the logic seemed simple: apply pressure from the inside, spark a chain reaction, remove the leadership, force a political reset. That logic has existed since World War II, when sabotage teams, resistance cells, and covert raids were used to destabilize enemy governments from within. But there's a difference between theory and execution, and Venezuela exposed that gap brutally. The operation centered on a rapid strike. A small group would enter by sea, link up with internal supporters, and move quickly toward capturing key figures in the government. The goal wasn't a long war, it was shock and confusion, decapitation, a symbolic blow that would supposedly cause the rest of the system to collapse. This kind of thinking has roots in classic special operations doctrine. World War II raids often relied on speed, surprise, and the assumption that once the first domino fell, others would follow. But those operations were usually backed by massive intelligence networks, disciplined command structures, and state-level resources. What unfolded in Venezuela had the style of a special operation without the substance. From the beginning, secrecy was paper-thin. Rumors leaked, social media buzzed, the element of surprise, the lifeblood of any covert mission, was already compromised before the boats even launched. Training was inconsistent, funding was shaky, command and control were unclear. Some participants believed foreign governments were fully behind them, others thought support would magically appear once boots hit the ground. That kind of confusion is deadly. World War II taught this lesson repeatedly. Successful operations required ruthless clarity. Everyone knew their role, everyone understood the risks, and most importantly, planners assumed things would go wrong and prepared for it. In Venezuela, hope replaced preparation. When the raiding party finally arrived, reality hit hard. Security forces were waiting, locals were not rising up in support. Instead of chaos, there was control. Instead of momentum, there was resistance. Some attackers were captured almost immediately, others were killed. The rest scattered, their objective evaporating in real time. Within hours, the operation was over. Not with a bang, but with public arrests and televised confessions. In the age of smartphones and instant news, covert failure doesn't stay covert for long. During World War II, information moved slowly. Governments could hide losses, failed missions could remain secret for years. Today, a single mistake becomes global news before the dust settles. Venezuela showed how modern states, even struggling ones, have adapted. Surveillance is cheaper, intelligence sharing is faster. Internal security forces are trained specifically to counter irregular threats. A small group of attackers no longer slips through unnoticed just because they're motivated. The romantic image of a handful of fighters changing history overnight belongs to a different era. The failure didn't just end the operation, it actually strengthened the very system it was meant to destroy. The government used the incident as proof of foreign-backed aggression. Supporters rallied, security measures tightened, international sympathy shifted. For the opposition, the damage was severe. Credibility took a hit. Distance was created between political movements and armed action. What was meant to trigger momentum instead froze it. World War II resistance movements survived because they were deeply rooted in local populations and supported by sustained external logistics. Venezuela's operation lacked both. This wasn't just a Venezuelan story, it was a reminder. Special operations don't succeed on bravery alone. They require discipline, legitimacy, and patience. They require silence in an era that thrives on noise, and they require a realistic understanding of how power actually works on the ground. World War II commanders learned, often painfully, that poorly planned raids cost lives and strengthen the enemy. That lesson hasn't expired. It's just been live-streamed. Because failed operations don't disappear, they shape policy, they harden governments, they change how future conflicts are fought. Venezuela became a case study in what happens when old playbooks are used in a new world. For viewers of the scars of a global stormfronts, this is exactly where history earns its scars. Not in grand victories, but in the moments where ambition outruns reality, and those moments are more common than we like to admit. History doesn't just reward the bold, it punishes the unprepared. If you want more deep dives into the hidden operations, failed gambles, and shadow wars that shape our world, make sure you subscribe to the Scars of a Global Stormfronts. Share this story with someone who thinks history is predictable. And stay sharp, because the next stormfront is already forming.